Hey everyone, this is Kobe from Scrapping It Out. Recently, this past weekend, I went to a ProQuest in the local area. It was a 32-person ProQuest, and I brought this abomination of a deck, Control Teklovossen, to the 32-person ProQuest, and I ended up going 4-1 in Swiss, and then I took the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and then split with my finals opponent and ended up taking the win down for Teklovossen. So I wanted to go over just a quick deck tech just to get everyone, like people that are interested in Teklovossen, just up to date kind of deck tech to where I'm at, how to play the deck a little bit, the deck building decisions, and yeah. If you want to just check the February link is in the description below. It has way more detailed sideboard guide. I'm always going to be try to reworking on the deck as time goes on because I really like Teklovossen. I really think he's at a fantastic position in the meta right now, especially since Dromai is long. As you know, hopefully Dromai will never come back, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, after Dromai left, Teklovossen became a much better deck. One of the reasons why Teklovossen was not good before into Dromite was because of his lack of go again and lack of early pressure. So all the Dromite player really had to do was just like set up an overwhelming board of like double Chromai or double Mirror Guy or something like that, and you just could not handle it. You did not have the tools to kill it, all of it. If you did not have enough popper density to beat Dromai, and if they're Big Dragon Dromai, you're even more screwed because they just tumble tie you and then you just lose. So after Dromai left, this deck became way better. The matchup spread became a lot better and a lot more manageable for Teklovossen. So I think Teklovossen is a fantastic deck to bring into the rest of the ProQuest season, especially if you think that the top decks of your meta are like a lot of warriors, a lot of guardians, maybe even Azuri if you know how to play that matchup. Let's go over the deck tech and just see how I play it. So first off, we have the base equipment. Teklovossen, 4 intellect, 40 life, mechanologist hero. You can play evils from your banish zone. Once per turn, you can pay 3, and you can play your next evil this turn as though an instant. If you do play it as an instant, you get to draw a card. And the entire point of Teklovossen is you're supposed to play the game of Flesh and Blood in reverse. You start off with these Cogwork base heads, this Cogwork based whatever. They don't really do anything. There is no boost. There's no boost cards in the deck, so the steam counters don't even matter for this version of the deck. So I know some decks. There's another guy that really likes to play the boost Teklovossen build or the hybrid Teklovossen build that does boost, but I am not familiar enough with that version of the deck to talk about it. I am only really familiar with the Control Teklovossen build, which runs absolutely 0 boost in this deck. You have no way to use the steam counters on there. They are purely for psyops against your opponent. So your opponent looks at them like, oh, what does this do? I have to be prepared for what? No, it doesn't do anything. So what we do is we start with these base equipment, and we start building on top of it with the Evos. And as you can see, our weapon doesn't really do anything until we have Evos. Like if you have if you have 0 Evos equipped, it does literally nothing. But if you have 1 Evo equipped, you can pay 3 to attack for 2. With 2 Evos, it's a 1 for 2. It gets go again if you have 3, and you have 4 Evos, all 4 of them equipped. It's a 1 for 3 with go again, which is an insane rate for a weapon. But to get to that point is a little tricky. So what are the Evos in our deck? We got Evo, Steel, Soul, Memory, Processor, Tower, and Controller. The headpiece, chest piece, legs, and arms, all locked for 3, all pitch as a blue, and all cost 4 to equip. So the main game plan for this deck is we want to equip each piece over our Cogworks base to count as more Evos equipped. We want to equip all 4 of them, and we get insane bonuses as we equip them all. I know there's a little bit of text in there for those that are new to Teklovossen that says when this transforms from or into another Evo with a different name, something like that. Don't worry about those right now. There is no way to trigger them other than to play the big payoff card, which we'll get to in a little bit. So once we have all 4 Evos equipped, what do we do? What is one of the main payouts in the deck that we have? Well, we have Tech Leveler up there. Tech Leveler, like I said before, becomes a 1 for 3 with Go again once you have 4 Evos equipped. All the Evos are temper 3, so they basically block 3, then they block for 2, and then you probably don't want to block for the last one unless you have Fabricate, but they basically just block for 3 and block for 5 total, right? You just save like maybe 20 health, and then you can equip over it. So if you have 2 -1 counters on the memory, for example, you equip another memory over it, you wipe out the past 2 -1 counters, and you start with a fresh 3 temper memory. So then you just get more value out of it, you get more block out of it, you can turtle up more, and then get to your big payoff, which is your tanks and Steel Street Enforcement. So these 4 cards are the main payoffs you get before you play your big super finisher. Terminator Tank, at its base, you have 0 Evos equipped. It is a 6-for-6 do nothing else. 6-for-6 block 3 hits a red. It's horrible if you have no Evos equipped. However, if you have 1 Evo equipped, once it hits, they discard a card. If you have 2 Evos equipped, it becomes a 3-for-6. If you have 3 Evos equipped, it gains Overpower, which means it can only block with 1 action card. And then once you have 4 Evos equipped, it's a 3-for-9 with Overpower. So once you get to the 3-for-9 with Overpower, this card becomes absolutely crazy, because once you hit your opponent, they have to discard a card. So if they take all 9 points of damage and they discard a 3 block or a 3 attack power, you basically get it's basically a 3-for-12. That's incredible. How do you? But obviously this is an extremely above rate card, but you have to get all 4 of Evos equipped before you can get to that point. So, which is the tricky part with Teklovossen, is that you need to build up and get to the point where you can just tank your opponent over and over again. Similarly, we have War Machine and Annihilator Engine. Annihilator Engine is the weakest one of the bunch, where it only destroys all cards defending this card once you connect with your opponent. So if they block with Scab Skins for some reason, and you hit them, you destroy Scab Skins when you just hit them with Annihilator Engine. They'll never do that. So you can just ignore that part of the text. It's just a 3-for-9 with Overpower. War Machine, though, does destroy their arsenal on hit, which can be pretty relevant because some people want to hold their cards in arsenal, or maybe it's like a swingy card that could, like maybe an Iron Song response or something like that. They wanted to try to get back tempo in their favor. And then we also have Steel Street Enforcement. If you have all 4 Evos equipped, it becomes a blue 5 block. Insane rate. A blue 5 block with basically no restrictions, unlike Hold the Line, which also technically a blue 5 block, but it has some restrictions. Your opponent has to do stuff. But you just have a flat blue pitch 5 block, insane rate. Fantastic card. Pitch it. If you pitch it early on, you can see it later, and then just you have free 5 blocks. And of course, we have the big payoff of Teklovossen, Singularity. Once you have all 4 Evos equipped, then Singularity becomes online. You can pay 6, which is 2 blues into it, and just activate Singularity, transform your hero, your weapons, all your Evos, and all cards underneath it to become the Mechropotent. Teklovossen the Mechropotent is an insane card. It is a 6-power attacker for just a single blue, and you banish 2 cards from your soul, which usually you have around 10 to 14 cards in soul once you transform into the Mechropotent. And on attack, if you attack a hero, they discard a card. So it's immediately like a 1-card 9. You just pitch a blue, they have to discard a card, and they have to take 6, or they block with 2 cards. It's a crazy rate value for an attack. And also, of course, there's more text on it. Your Mechanologist attack action cards could go again, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you can chain together huge turns in a single, or you can chain together a bunch of attacks in a single turn and get massive value, or just straight up destroy your opponent in a single turn. You also have 4 Evos equipped at all times, as long as you have the Mechropotent out, which means, of course, with the tanks and stuff, you get all the abilities, even though you only have 1 Evo on the board at once. And it's also a Battle-Worn 6. It's a Battle-Worn 6 equipment. So on top of that, you just block with it for 6 once you have the Mechropotent out. It's insane. The only not insane part is that Teklovossen becomes slightly less intelligent, with only 3 intelligence once he becomes a Mechropotent. But that's okay, because like around the time you play the mech opponent, the game's going to end pretty fast. So once you've transformed into the mech opponent, all of your evil steel souls trigger twice. You get +2 intellect on the hat, you get +2 action points on the legs, you get 6 resources from the chess piece to attack with Teklovossen twice on a turn you transform to Singularity, and you also get the Evil Soul Steel Controller, which lets you put 2 6s back into your deck 5th from the top. And with the memory, you will draw at least one of them first, and then you will draw the other one in the second turn. So usually I always put like 2 tanks back in the deck. Sometimes I do a tank in Liquid Cool Mayhem if I think that it will help me extend my turn more. If I have a tank already in Arsenal, I would put a Liquid Cool Mayhem in there. But yeah, you get insane value on the turn you transform, and that's for one of the 2 turns that you go crazy. On that first turn you transform, you basically attack you basically have like a 2-card or 3-card like 18 value, because you just attack your opponent twice, they discard 2 cards, and they just take 12 damage, right? Or they have to take 12 damage. Insane value. And on top of that, we have the part where your mech and knowledge attack action cards could go again. So your tanks, your overpowered tanks up there become 2-card 9 go again with overpower. So you can, and you also have Liquid Cool Mayhem, which is a 0 for 6 go again, and even Mechanical Strength, which is a blue 3 for 7 with go again once you're at the mech opponent. All of your cards become extremely above rate and just put so much pressure on your opponent that your opponent might just crumple on the turn after you Singularity. So the ideal turn after your Singularity is you have 3 blues in your hand, you have Liquid Cool Mayhem or tank, a Terminator tank in Arsenal, and the other piece in your hand, or one and like another tank and Liquid Cool Mayhem in your hand. So the combo turn, the ideal turn is you tank them, pitching a blue. That's 2 cards. Remember, you have 6 cards total, 5 cards in your hand, including 1 Arsenal. So you tank them, pitching a blue. Then you tank them again, pitching a blue. Then you play Liquid Cool Mayhem for free, 0 for 6 go again, and you punch him in the face with Teklovossen, pitching a blue. So with 3 blues and Liquid Cool Mayhem and 2 tanks, you have punched your opponent for 30 points of damage, not even value, in a single turn, and with evasive damage. Like Terminator tank, if they have a bunch of action cards in their hand, they can't do anything. They just have to discard 2 cards. So you get insane points of value just with the go again and like the super on rate cards. When you transfer to mech opponent, the game will end really fast. Your opponent will be extremely scared. But first, we had to get to the point, how do we get there? We already know what the ceiling is, but the problem with Teklovossen is, how do we get there? How do we get there under the pressure of our opponent just hitting us so many times, or trying to just rip cards away from your hand? We need some way to build up without taking too much damage, and just losing on the spot, right? So we have a bunch of defensive cards. The defensive package we have here is pretty standard. We have 3 Fate Foreseen, 3 Sink Below, 3 Hold the Line, and our 3 Steel Street Enforcements. Fate Foreseen and Sink Below, you probably already seen these cards a lot of the time. They are 0/4s. They are great, fantastic generics. Basically sees play in almost every deck. Hold the Line is a fantastic blue, especially in the Brute meta, where we have a bunch of Brutes playing Blood Rush Bellow to draw 2 cards. And so it becomes a 0 for 5, like a 5 block blue pitch, which is really good for this deck. And it's also a defense reaction if you need it, and a pinch against something like Warrior. Steel Street Enforcement, like I said, can become up to a 5 block, but early on, if it's like a 3 block, that's still pretty good. Still pretty good to keep you alive. Or even a 4 block, or a 4 block is really nice too. Fabricate is an insane card once you get to the point where you have 4 Evos equipped, or a bunch of Evos at -2 or have 2 -1 counters in them. So once you have 2 -1 counters in them, you can just pick Fabricate, give all your evil permanents +1, and block with them as though they had 2 value, even though they have 2 -1 counters in them. And once the combat chain closes, they will get another -1 counter in it. But because Fabricate's in play, they will still have technically 1 defense left, so they will not break when the combat chain closes. So you can use that way. You can use that as a way to just get some more value out of your evos, even though they're at -2, and put put a -1 counter on them. They'll stay at -3, and then you can equip another evo over it to just refresh the evos and get more defensive value out of them. We also have the scrap cards. The scrap cards are basically draw a card, right? Because as you remember, Teklovossen's first line of text says you may play evos from your banish zone. So we have 3 red Junker Dogs, 3 blue Junker Dogs, 2 Scrap Trader, and as mentioned, a 2 Fabricate. Junker Dog becomes a 3 for 7, which is above rate, even though it doesn't really do anything else other than scrap. But because it scraps, it basically means draw a card, right? If you scrap an Evo into your banish zone, you drew that Evo. You can play it from your banish zone later. So it's a really good card, and the blue one's pretty good too. People severely underestimate these cards for some reason. I can't blame them. I used to underestimate the dogs too, but once I took them out of the deck for a little bit, but then I realized that it just provides pressure when you need it. And usually when you Singularity, you want your opponent to be at 30 or less life before you Singularity. Otherwise, they might just be able to fatigue you out, which will not be good for you. Scrap Trader is a really good card in this deck. It's one of the best 2-card hands you can have, which is Scrap Trader and a blue. So you can banish 2 Evos from your graveyard using Scrap Trader, which uses your action point, but you also flip 4 resources. So with those 4 resources, you can activate Teklovossen, and then pitch a blue to just equip one of those Evos to draw a card too, and you just have another Evo and banish to play later. And Scrap Trader is an amazing card in this deck. Unfortunately, it is 2-block, but it is one of the best arsenal cards in your cards arsenal in your deck. Same thing with Fabricate. Fabricate's also an amazing arsenal card. Usually you can pick the mode to banish an Evo to draw a card, which basically means draw 2, because you drew that Evo and drew another card. But you also might usually want to pick like +1 to Evos this turn, and usually put it under an Evo permanent you control, because every time you put an Evo permanent under your control, that's +1 soul to Teklovossen the mech opponent later. So usually what I do is, if I'm playing defensive, I choose a +1 and banish an Evo to draw a card if they're super offensive. Otherwise, like if they're not putting that much pressure or I don't have an Evo in my hand, I put it underneath Evo permanent I control. Fabricate is one of the best cards in the deck, but we cannot run 3 of them because it's an instant, and having 2 Fabricates in your hand really blows. You don't want to draw too many of them. Next, we have the other cards. These are the other cards, like, classics. You probably all heard this before. Stop me if you heard this one before. Command and Conquer is a good card. But in this deck, it pairs really well with Tech Leveler, because as you remember, Tech Leveler when you have 3 Evos equipped, becomes a 1 for 2 with Go again. So if you have a single blue, you could just fire Tech Leveler for 2 damage and then just follow it up with a CNC. It's a 2-card 8. Or if you have all 4 Evos equipped, it's a 2-card 9. Command and Conquer is a great card, of course. It's CNC. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say about CNC. Ripple Away is good against brutes. It's also blue. The main reason why we use it against brutes is to stop potential Cast Bones pop-off turns. You can discard this in response to a Cast Bones, and they cannot generate an agility off of Cast Bones, which can save you a lot of life. Warmonger's Diplomacy, mainly for Azalea, but if you see your brute opponent play Cast Bones and they reveal like Blood Rush Fellow on top, you can play Warmonger's Diplomacy, and then they're forced to name War, and they can't not pop up with Blood Rush Bellow on that turn, so it keeps you a little bit healthier on that turn. Blue Liquid Mayhem is 0 for 4 late game. It's a blue. It's just a blue. It's nice with Go again if you're the mech opponent. Magnetic Protocol. It's a blue. It's a 3 for 5. It's brutal in the mirror. This is probably the one card you have to watch out for in the mirror. So make sure you're prepared if you ever have to face the mirror. God forbid you face the mirror. And this is the card that will swing the games. For the sideboard, we have Remembrance. Remembrance is for fatigue, super mid-range decks, and of course Prism to shuffle back in poppers in your deck. Amnesia is used against Katsu and for Prism, but I want to experiment with a time stamp potion for Prism instead of Amnesia to stop the ALS loop. Sigil of Solace is for the mid-range matchups and defensive matchups because they can leave you with like a bunch of like 2-card hands, and sometimes you just want to arsenal a card and pass. So Sigil of Solace will just let you gain a few extra points of life, stay turtle up, and stay defensive. Unmovable is for Guardian and for Azalea. Azalea is climbing up a lot recently, and the Brody Spurluck list with Amplifying Arrow and all that stuff can overwhelm me pretty fast. So Unmovable is great to stop the dominated hits. Finally, we have Rusted Relic. This is purely for Rune Blades. I have decided against running any AB equipment in this deck because the Kano matchup is really tough to beat with Teklovossen unless you tech your deck in a way to make it like a 30 to 70 matchup. So I decided, I'm just going to take all the Arcane Barrier out of the deck, and I run the Kano. I'll just scoop. That's just how this deck is. But against Runeblade, it's salvageable because you can keep all of your equipment and just play Rusted Relic as your AB. Because like there's a lot of Runeblade decks like OTK Viscerai. If they play OTK Viscerai, they're not swinging at you unless they have 30 rune hits anyways. So why would I get my own plan to just play Arcane Barrier that doesn't even matter until they want to pop off? I'd rather have the equipment slots so I can try to block the Arcanite Ascendancy. And then finally we have the other Prism tech. We have Teklo Plasma Pistol and Deathmatch Arena. Let's start with the Plasma Pistol first. I think that's the easier one to explain. Plasma Pistol, just put a counter on it, and if they don't have a special aura, you just pass. If they hit, that means you just force them to not be able to play their instant speed auras like Genesis or Merciful Retribution or Arclight Sentinel without getting like extreme value after you attack. Like you can't blow it up. And then we have Deathmatch Arena. Deathmatch Arena is solely there to destroy Great Library of Solana. There's a rule in the game where if you have if there's a landmark already in play and someone else plays another landmark, you blow up the first landmark. There can only be one landmark on that field at once. So we ran Deathmatch Arena just to blow up Great Library of Solana. It's a little bit sus, honestly. Not all Prism players run Great Library or Library of Solana, and if they don't run it, you kind of just have a no block, do nothing card in your deck in Deathmatch Arena. But the problem is, if your opponent plays well and they do have Great Library of Solana, you cannot win. But again, the problem is you don't know if they're running it. Half the Prism players are running it, half of them aren't. So it's a little bit of a coin flip. If you're looking to pick up this deck, I suggest if you do not have a Deathmatch Arena, do not run it. I would probably run a third timestamp potion instead. But I think Deathmatch Arena is a really funny card, and it's interesting tech against Prism, and that's why I ran it in this deck. So there's the deck. That's all the 80 cards explained. Honestly, it's probably my favorite deck in Flesh and Blood. It doesn't really play like the other decks in Flesh and Blood, but it's just such an insane deck. It feels so nice once you start flinging 3-for-9s that overpowers at your opponent and start equipping all these equipment and start watching as their opponent just slowly slips into despair as you just equip over and over again. It's so fun. It's probably, single-handedly my most favorite deck in Flesh and Blood. And Dromai is gone. It's perfect time to pick it up. And as far as the ProQuest, how the ProQuest went, my matchups were Riptide. I won against Riptide. I lost against KO. Then I beat Levaya, Victor, and Azuri to get into top 8. And then I beat Victor and Kasai to get to the finals. And then I split with my opponent to get the victory and the invitation to the ProQuest. Or not ProQuest, the Pro Tour. So if you're looking at this list and you're familiar with Teklovossen a little bit, you might be thinking like, hey, wait, you just got lucky with the matchups. You didn't face any Kano or Katsu or Fai, which are considered the unwinnable matchups for this deck. To that I say, yeah, yep, that's the point of this deck. That's the point of Teklovossen. Teklovossen, the control variant, is built around super polarizing matchups. You have a lot of like 80-20 matchups, like against Victor, or against Hatchet's Dorinthia, or against Kasai, or against Levaya even, or Azuri. And you have about like 3 auto-lose matchups. If those auto-lose matchups are like 5% of the field, and your heavily favored matchups are like 60% of the field. That's such a good. That's insanely good odds to just run into a bunch of good matchups, like 4 good matchups in a row, and you just scoot your way in the top 8. Why would you not take those odds? Yeah, of course you can run into Kano. I ran into Kano my second RTN last season, and I just lost. I had no way to beat it. I also ran into 2 Katsus that day. You can't beat Katsu. Katsu just rolls you because you just are never able to put pressure on the Katsu opponent without all the Evos. So they just keep 5-card hands over and over again. So yeah, this time, yeah, I did get lucky with pairings, but Teklovossen, that's what he does. He's a meta call deck. Currently the meta is full of Guardians, Warriors, in Missouri after Dromai left, all of which Teklovossen has a fantastic matchup into. So if you're looking to have a deck in like a deck to just absolutely roll like 50% of the room that you're in, I think Teklovossen is the deck to play. He's really solid. People really haven't figured him out yet, and even if they do know what Teklovossen does, there are definitely ways to just outplay your opponent and just hit them with Terminator tanks over and over again. So yeah, thanks for watching the deck tech. This is the first deck tech I ever did, so I probably messed up on a few things. I probably talked too fast. Leave me any comments down below. Watch or click on the February deck tech or the February link. Just if you want to see it written out and all the matchup guide and everything. It's free. Just click on it. Whatever. Also subscribe. And yeah. If you want to stick around, I'm gonna go play a quick Talishar game to show you just how it plays out in a real match. Okay, so we get into a game against Azalea. We definitely want to go first. We don't want our opponent to go first. We don't want our opponent to set up. I want to guess they're most likely on the Brody Spurlock build. We have our matchup for Azalea here. We're just running the 2 unmovables, and that's it. That's the only addition we're adding to this deck. So let's start it off. Ooh, fantastic opening hand. We're just gonna equip the controller, pitching the blue and the blue, and then just pass over. Pitch, blue, pass. Doesn't really matter what we order the pitch deck. It's Arsenal Sync below. Great start. Not a great start is drawing into Scrap Trader though. If they try to fire off like a dominated arrow, we could probably sink it away or sink our hand away. But we're gonna try to hold up Warmonger's Diplomacy. Let's see. A Death Dealer in a Red Ledger. Okay, premeditate. I don't think they're going to. Yeah. Okay, so they're just coming in for 8. Okay, if they're coming in for 8, I'm just gonna block with these 3. And they just block for 8. If they have Rain Razors, they have Rain Razors. It doesn't really matter. They only have Premeditate as their on hit. I'm not going to use Sync Blow on that. Okay, so they pass it over. They're going to Arsenal that card. And then we're just going to play Warmonger's Diplomacy. We're going to name... we're going to try to name Peace. And then just pass. Another awkward hand. Our opponent just plays Rain Razors out. Okay, we really stuffed their turn there. They're just going to activate Death Dealer. The tune is like 2. So they have to activate... Okay, Bolt and Shot. Bolt and Shot for 6. I don't really want to block with the War Machine, so I'm going to block with the Dog and the Annihilator Engine first. Okay, and they can't really do anything else. We can't really attack this turn because we picked Peace, so we're just going to activate Teklovossen, pitch these away, just to put them onto the bottom of the deck and then draw a fresh card, a fresh hand of 4. So put the War Machine first, and then the blue underneath it. We're not getting into Evos early, which is a problem, but we want to probably try to put the controller in the graveyard. We don't have any Evos in the graveyard yet, so we do draw a Scrap Shooter. We don't have very much ways to scrap. They flipped up Take Aim. They put their card to the bottom of the deck. So, they might blind flip Azalea. So, I wonder what it's going to do here. They might reload? I don't think they should reload. Because they haven't activated Death Dealer yet? Yeah. So they aren't reloading. They activate Death Dealer using Tunic. Nice. Endless Arrow. Premeditate. Premeditate, take aim. Double take aim. Coming in for 13? Yeah. We're just going to play it like this. Let's use the Fate Foreseen. Ooh, nice. We get the memory on top. Full block their hand. They weren't able to dominate it. Just pass. Okay. They have an interesting hand here. We have two two equipments that we want to put on. So depending on what they do, Spire Sniping. Okay. Let's see. Spire Sniping. Or they activated Crossbone and yeah, the card on top. Activate Azalea. They already know what's on top. They flip into and knock the Death Whistle. Interesting. Okay, they play the knock. Oh, they're trying to just get the card out of their deck, I think. They already activated Azalea. And revealing red Drill Shot. Let's see. Death Dealer. Pitching Amplifying Arrow. I agree. Yellow Fatigue Shot. Interesting. Blood Rot. Fatigue Shot. Okay. Do I care much about the Blood Rot token? No, not really. I'm just going to block for 3. I'm going to take the 7 and the 2 from the Blood Rot token. And the Fatigue Shot doesn't matter. And I'm just going to equip the memory and then pass. And take the 2 from the Blood Rot. Let's put the Command and Conquer up first. Okay. We have 8. 14 block right now. 14 block, and then we're going to try to blue Junker Dog and scrap the Soulsteel the chess piece this turn. Okay, knock the Death Whistle. Okay, so we do have to worry about dominate this turn. What did they knock here? Knock in a Red Ledger. Interesting. Okay. Put in Red Ledger. I don't think they're going to Crow's Nest. Red Ledger, no cards in hand, coming in for 11. So I think we just block like this. And then... yeah, I think we use both our D-reacts here. And then we try to ship the tank to the bottom. So first we want a Fate Foreseen. We want a Fate Foreseen first. Try to look for blue on top. Alright, blue on top, great. We want to try to do it so we can hold the line in our arsenal for this turn. So we keep the blue on top, sink below, sink away the Annihilator Engine, and then take nothing. We still have 5 block on our armor, great. Alright, attack the Junker Dog for 5, banishing the blue Soulsteel Processor. Chess piece, just swing 5 at our opponent, draw a card. Pretty nice card. 3 for 5, draw a card. I don't think our opponent's going to block here, unless they have multiple arrows in their hand. If they do block, it's really good for us. If they don't block, that might not be good for us. Let's ask them to hold the line and pass. Oh. Oh no, there's a lot of good cards in their hand. Okay. Let's see what our opponent does first. Okay, they reveal Yellow Spire Sniping. Azalea. Okay. What are they Azaleaing in? Drill Shot? Okay, I think they're going to put the aim counter in there. It should be putting the aim counter in there because I can just block with equipment. And giving it piercing is really nice. Oh, they didn't give it an aim counter. I wonder why. Release attention for 7. So we don't want to block with the controller because they can put the -1 counter on the controller if they somehow get the hit, and then just stop and then just blow up our controller and we lose. So we're gonna block the memory, and then we're gonna try to sync, and then sync probably nothing. And then if they have a Rain Razors in their hand, we have Hold the Line in Arsenal. Let's not sync anything. So they gave it go again with snaps, which tells me that they are trying to go for a wider turn right now. Oh, Codex. Okay. That's fair. That's why I didn't put the aim counter in there. They had Codex. Nice. Well, they haven't discarded a card from their hand. They discarded an Infecting Shot, fire a Render Ledger at us. Okay, so Skullbone first. That's fair. And we're not really threatened by this. I think we could use our D-React now. So I'm going to block with the tower, and then just... We don't even need to take this. Or we don't even need to worry about this. There's no on-hits. So let's go to and just take the 2, and then save our D-React in Arsenal. We have a Red and Ledger hit, but it doesn't matter, because our one action this turn is Surprise. We're just going to equip this and pass. Alright, that's our one action for the turn. Pass. Put the memory on top. We got another memory in their hand. We have a scrap in their hand too. 6 block and reactions. We have a chess piece. We have 8 block, or we have a 8 block in equipment right now, or 7 block in equipment right now. I think we're feeling pretty good about our position. They Skullbone cross-wrapped, and they put the card on the bottom of their deck. Okay, then they read the glide path. And what would I be looking for if I was my opponent? I think I'll be looking for dominated arrows rather than pumps right now, depending on what they have in their hand. If they have amplifying arrow in their hand, then I think they're really looking for pumps. But I think because they're bottoming cards, I think they're looking for a dominated arrow. Well, they left the card on top this time, which means it has to be a pump, right? It can't be anything else other than the pump because of the because Death Dealer has been. Oh. Okay, now it could be an arrow. They use Take Aim. Their last Take Aim, reloading a card into the arsenal, and now they flip Azalea. Yeah, now they flip Azalea, flip into Bolt and Shot. Okay. Bolt and Shot. The problem is, how much do I care about this Bolt and Shot? It's the reload I care about, right? Well, they haven't used Death Dealer yet either. So they haven't used Death Dealer. I think we full block? Yeah, I think we full block. Let's full block like this. I'd rather get the dog in, play the dog this turn instead of Okay, they're gonna Tunic. They're gonna break the chain with Death Dealer. That's fine by me. Oh, Sleep Dart. Okay. I think I would let. I think if they play Sleep Dart, I'm just gonna hold the line, and then just take 3. Teklovossen's ability doesn't really matter on my turn if they don't have any on hits. Yeah, they're just gonna fire Sleep Dart, pitching a card. I'm just gonna play the hold line, get the Fate Machine in the arsenal. It's fine. We're gonna fire off Sleep Junkyard Dog. 2 card 7. Draw a card. And then put Fate Foreseen in the arsenal. Opponent takes 7, fair enough. Put this in the arsenal, pass. They cross wrap. Oh, we got an unmovable in our hand too. So we can go ahead and block 11 on a dominated hit without using armor. Okay, they bottom 2 cards with Read the Glide Path and the Skullbone Crosswrap. They activate Death Dealer. Loading in Remorseless. Okay. This might be tricky. They fire off Remorseless for 11. They only have Frailty on hit and Remorseless on hit. So if I block with Unmovable, yeah, I think I'm just gonna block with Unmovable and just take the 4. And this place, they basically hit me for 5 because I'm just gonna play the legs from Banish like this. Take a life point, but it doesn't matter. We are online, and yeah, now we can play Singularity. Oh, speaking of Singularity, I think it might be. I think we can play Singularity now, and just roll our opponent. Okay, they play Bolt and Shot. Let's just block for 3. Rain Razors, fine. They really don't want to pop their Bullseye Bracers. This tells me that they don't want to pop their Bullseye Bracers, so let's play Vapor Scene. And leave the card on the top. We want blues on top. Yep. Pitch a blue Bolt and Shot to activate Death Dealer. Okay. Load in another Bolt and Shot. Yeah. Okay, this makes sense to me. Let's block here and then Fabricate. +1 and put it under Evo control. Put it under this, doesn't matter where I put it under. And then it will not break at the end of the turn. And no combat chain. Codex of Frailty. Ah, bummer. Codex. Let's put in War Machine and then discard Hold the Line. I think that's our best choice. Affecting Shot. We still have our Fabricate until end of turn, so we can just block it out. Block it for 7. Yep. Usually I don't like arsenaling Singularity, but I think this is a point where we can arsenal Singularity and get huge value out of it. So I'm going to just fire off the War Machine and destroy the arsenal and just completely ruin their turn, this upcoming turn. I think in this game it makes sense to arsenal Singularity because they don't have, or they only have Steek and Destroy to destroy it. But I think we're in such a position that we can win even if they Seek and Destroy us, because we were just able to fire off War Machine that turn. It's fine. For the rest of the game, we probably have to... Okay, so hopefully we can just take whatever they throw at us. And Seeking to start destroying Lace with Inertia is pretty big. Blood Rot, yep. 8. 11. Sleep Dart for 11. I could block out. But I think I could just transform to Singularity and just kill them. Okay. There's no real on hits. Let's take the 11. No hero power, but it's still Teklovossen, baby. Singularity. Transform this, the Microphone, put this back on top, put this back on top. Swing. Go ahead and discard a card, my friend. I think we just win. Hopefully they don't block it. Nice. Alright, now we just swing Tank at them. 9 card overpower, and they have to discard a card. And I just swing with Teklovossen again and rips away 6 points of value from their hand. I think I win at this point. Okay, they didn't block, which means I win, I think. Unless they want to go to 1. Alright, pitch this. Banish 2 cards from Soul. They have to discard a card on hit, or on attack. And they have to just block up with their hand. If they block with their hand, that means they can only, like... Yeah, they have to block. All right, we take the 2 damage. We draw up the 5. What you got, opponent? That's a pretty good one, actually. Actually, that's better for us because we can just put Terminator taking back in our arsenal and just block with Teklovossen. So I think this ends up working out better for us, no matter what they do. And just block with ourselves. And then just dead. Yep. Okay, nice. Alright, nice. 8 go again, overpower, and dead. And they have no reactions in their deck, except, and, yep, they can block for maybe 5, but they just lose. Yep. Nice. Well, that's just one example of how Teklovossen works, especially in the... this was the Azalea matchup. I think this matchup can be a little bit tricky. Let's see what our opponent was at. Their opponent was at 14 cards left. They still through all 3 of their Seeking this first. They never really got to play any of them. They pressured us with a lot of damage early, but we were just able to get equipment out and block out effectively and take damage when we needed to just overpower our opponent and win. So yeah, that's it for the Teklovossen deck tech and a little bit of gameplay for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe and check the FAB-LAB link down below if you want to see more of the matchup guides and all that. And yeah, go Tech Bros. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Make sure to also check out Scrapping It Out. It's my gameplay series I've been trying to upload more and more to. Scrapping It Out, I put a lot of work into it, and I'm really proud of it, how it's going so far. Basically tries to compress a whole game of Classic Constructed into about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of video time. So it's perfect over like your bathroom break or your lunch break or whatever. So make sure you guys check it out and give me some feedback on that. So yep, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.